March 25th, 2025,
5 de marzo
joint
del
meeting of
2025.
Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission meeting.
Esta es la reunión de
Um,
la comisión.
Please
de-
have instruction on how our Spanish-speaking community members can join our meeting on Zoom.
Of course, Chair. Members of the public, live interpretation of this meeting will be provided in Spanish. To access live interpretation services in Zoom, click the interpretation globe icon in your Zoom meeting webinar controls and select the Spanish language. At this time, I would like my colleague Ron to provide these instructions in Spanish.
Va a proveer la interpretación al español.
Ron?
This is Teresa.
Okay, Teresa, thank you, Teresa.
Yes, vamos a tener interpretación al español para aquellas personas que lo requieran. Por favor, hágale clic en el globo que está en la parte inferior de la pantalla para que escuche la interpretación de esta reunión. Gracias.
Thank you. The Spanish channel starting now. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. And are we recording the meeting?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
It's already recording.
All right, and so now we have roll call.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commencing roll call. Commissioner Huber Levy. Commissioner Uhila Hatao. Commissioner Ali.
Here.
Commissioner Blanco.
Here.
Commissioner Bocanegra.
Here.
Commissioner Ginevra. Commissioner Clemmer. Commissioner Montani. Commissioner Nori. Commissioner Williams. And Chair Rasmussen.
Here, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we need to set the agenda, set and approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to set the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bocanegra, seconded by Vice Chair Huber Levy. Can we have the vote, please? Okay, so all those, all those in favor? Okay, all those in favor of approving the agenda as it was distributed, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those wishing to abstain? Okay, that passes. Next up is the approval of the meeting minutes for February 25th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes or any suggested edits? Okay, motion, yes.
How about now? Cool. I can hear myself. For the minutes, I'd like to just make some suggestions for folks that are looking at our minutes but may not understand certain terminology. So I do notice where it says 707B, there's a footnote within the regarding explaining what that is with the Welfare Institutions Code. So I just like to see if we can stay consistent throughout with certain terminology. For example, maybe a definition of what record ceilings are and SYTF, what that means, either spell it out or have a footnote spelling it out. So we can just add those in future minutes so that we have community members reading the minutes so that they can try to make sense of it.
I think that's a great idea. I think whenever we use acronyms, sometimes, you know, we're not being mindful of the public. And so thank you for bringing that suggestion forward. Did you have anything else you wanted to add as far as?
No, that was it.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for this month? Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? Okay, Commissioner Montani seconded Vice Chair Huber Levy's motion. All those in favor of approving the February 25th, 2025 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those wishing to abstain? And I'm an aye, so that passes unanimously. And then finally, on preliminary business is the vote on the candidacy of, I'm going to say your name wrong, and I don't want to do that. So could you please say your name for the record for us? Okay. And so, Rushi, would you like to speak on this? Yeah. Okay, great. You want to use the microphone? Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. So I have the pleasure of introducing Gia Venkatesh as a candidate for appointment to the commission this evening. Gia is a sophomore at Carmont High School. She moved to the United States a year ago from South Africa. She is a student journalist for Scott Scoop. She became passionate about advocating for systems impacted youth when she covered the public backlash of the sentencing of the 20-year-old who was involved in the car crash that led to the death of a couple. She dispelled widespread misinformation about this case, which highly impressed the membership committee. This was one of her many thoughtful, well-researched, and award-winning articles, her most recent being about the quality and cost of meals provided to detained youth. Outside of journalism, she is a youth advisory committee voting member for the city of Belmont. She tutors underserved youth with the organization Learn to Be, and she is a Parks and Recreation Youth Commissioner. She has conducted in-depth research with nonprofits on the opioid crisis and harm reduction initiatives. And overall, we believe her research and writing skills, particularly as a very impressive student journalist, will be an amazing asset to the commission. So on the unanimous recommendation of the membership committee, it is my pleasure to move that the commission approve Gia Venkatesh's appointment to the JJDPC of San Mateo County. And we don't need a second because this is coming from a committee, so we can move to a vote.
Wonderful, thank you. We're very excited about this candidacy. We'll call it. Roll call. Or you can just do that. Okay. I don't want to say. Okay, so all those in favor of approving Gia Venkatesh to the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Commission, say aye.
But I think,
Aye.
don't we need someone makes the motion and then we second? No?
Not one on a committee
Oh, okay,
recommendation.
my apologies.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All those wishing to abstain? All right, that passes unanimously. We're now at that portion of the meeting where we take a general public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any comments either submitted in advance or any speakers cards?
Sure. Members of the public, if you would like to make a public comment, please bring a speaker slip up to the clerk during this time. For those of you joining this meeting online, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom. Does anyone have a public comment on any topic not on the agenda? We don't have any speaker slips submitted and none online. Go back to you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, first up is for our updates is going to be Ron Reyes with the Private Defender Program. Welcome, Ron. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Numbers for the past 4 weeks, we had 58 assignments of cases. Of those, 18 were detentions. Of the 18, 12 of these detention contained allegation of 707B type of offenses. Again, the 707B refers to Welfare and Institution Code 707. It has a list of serious offenses such as robbery, murder, attempted murder. Those are examples of what 707B type of offenses are. And the remaining, the 31 other cases were out of custody arraignments. Of the 31, 5 of them contained 707B type of allegations. In the past 4 weeks, we helped youth in 9 different cases for record sealing. Record sealing is when a youth finished their probation terms and they're qualified to have their juvenile record sealed under the Welfare Institution Code, either 786 or 781. On our Miranda helpline for Miranda consultations, we received 17 calls from arresting law enforcement agencies. We conducted consultation with 16 of the youth. The breakdown of that 16 and 17-year-olds were 9. And then the remaining were under the age of 15. Of the 17, 14 of the youth elected to remain silent after the consultation. Those are our numbers for the past 4 weeks.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Of the 17 calls and 16 contacts, was there a reason why he was not consulted?
Yes, typically, we get a call and they let us know that they have a youth in custody, but they don't intend to, to question them or anything like that. Oftentimes what happened, the arresting agency, they transport the youth to YSC. YSC would not admit a youth until they confirm that they have called the consultation hotline. So they let us know that they have a youth that's just been booked, but they don't have any intention of interviewing the youth. So usually that's kind of what happens. Or sometimes they cite and release, but they call us after the fact. Yeah, that's a pretty common thing they do often for out of custody when they cite and release. Then they realize, oh, we should have called, so we got a call after the fact.
I'm glad to hear that they're training to call and each time, right? So that's.
Oh, yeah, like I do not recall the last time where we had an issue where they did not call us. They're very good about calling us first.
Fantastic. Anybody else have any questions for Ron and the numbers?
Through the chair, we have John Keane
Oh,
online. He
yes.
has a.
Chief, good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Hey, Ron, I had a question for you. Because you brought up the hotline and the interrogation conversation. Have you seen any evidence recently of these questions being expanded into once a young person is actually booked into the facility, and then subsequently departments may want to come and talk to the young person? Do you have any thoughts about that as it relates to the mandate of 203?
Yeah, we had this one situation I think you're aware of, Chief, that happened last month.
Yes,
That-
I am.
Yes, that's pretty much the only one we have been aware of recently, and that was a little troubling, especially given the fact that not only it's a Miranda issue, but that youth was already represented. So that was extremely troubling, and I very much appreciated the probation stance on that issue and how it was handled. I know I haven't seen you in person to thank you, but it was handled expertly by you and your staff.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe speak to that. And so thank you for doing so, because as you know, there's a lot of confusion and probably a need for some additional training around this issue, because I think there's a false belief that, this only covers just that initial conversation that a young person could have on the street before they get booked in. And so we're going to have to maybe be diligent in probably having a broader conversation about ensuring that everyone knows the full extent to how it applies. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and then it works a little differently from the adult side, because once we are aware we have a youth that has been booked, we are already working on the case in preparation for the detention hearing. So we have our client advocate already going in to see the youth, to interview the youth, to start preparing for the detention hearing. We right away, like within few hours after that, we already have an attorney already assigned to the youth, so they're already represented. So it works a little different from where on the adult side, where they have to show up for that Raymond calendar, so to speak, and then counsel appointed. With us, they pretty much have counsel within, as soon as we know they're booked at YSC.
Yeah, and just so you know, Ron, and not to belabor the point, but just so you are aware, I think you just brought up a really clear, fine distinction between how adults and juveniles are handled. But I think there's also an additional layer of false belief that somehow the severity of the alleged charges somehow elevates the relationship between the young person and the attorney to almost some pseudo-adult standard, which you and I both know is not true. But once again, it's just the kind of unfortunate dialogue that's kind of going around.
Right, and I agree with you on that, should not be any distinction based on the nature of the charges. We approach it no matter what it is, as long as it's in the juvenile jurisdiction. We have the same approach.
I appreciate it, Ron. Thank you. I just want to make sure we're being, active and accurate in our supporting of how we see the law. So thanks for reaffirming that.
Absolutely, I really appreciate it, Chief.
Yeah, and thank you for protecting the rights of our kids. Okay, any other comments or questions for Vaughn? If not, we will move on to the probation department. I just want to say we have quite a few members of the probation department here. Welcome, everyone. So we'll go ahead and pass the microphone.
I'll start.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. There's a lot of changes.
Yeah, I think it's on.
So good evening, everybody. I see there's a lot of changes, new faces and old. I'm Jahan Clark. I'm currently the Deputy Chief over Juvenile Services. And as some of you may or may not know, in January, Mr. Monye Wade, he took my role as the Deputy Chief over Institutions. So probation, we have a lot of changes taking place very, very soon. And so that's why there's a lot of us here at the table, because we've doing a lot of the musical chairs. Nora, who you used to be seeing over the past year already, she's going to be transferring to adult services. And so we have Becky Powers, who's the Assistant Deputy Chief, who's coming back home, but coming to juvenile services. So she'll be here at the meetings and kind of representing the juvenile side. And some of you may or may not know, Ms. Sanam Aaron, who's current superintendent over the juvenile hall. She is retiring, where we hate to see her leave, but in that we also have Ms. Yvonne Bustos, who has been promoted. So she will be the superintendent, and it goes into effect to come Monday. So what is that, the 31st? So
Yes,
new faces, we're excited.
Very exciting.
And yeah, good to see everybody.
And most of our commissioners who've been through one inspection cycle know that Yvonne is working with inspection, so many of us are familiar with Yvonne, so congratulations. And very best wishes to you, Yvonne. Thank you, in your retirement. Okay, do we want to give a report out?
Yeah, we'll go
Okay.
ahead. Hi. One last report out on the juvenile side. Nora Collins, Assistant Deputy Chief for Juvenile Services. So want to report out on our recent stats, and that would be, we have 163 going through the court diversion process. And then we have 183 on supervision with a total of 346 clients. That's 346. Thank you.
And then on the institution side, we have a total population of 35, 4 of which are out-of-county youth, 2 from Santa Clara County, 2 from San Francisco County. We currently have 3 housing units open, consisting of 2 females and 33 males. On EMP, we have a total of 20 youth, 15 being males and 5 being females. Are any of our EMP youth from another county? Are they strictly Santa Clara?
No, there's no out-of-county youth on here.
Thank you. Any questions for probation? Yes.
I'd like to say, thank you for your service to our youth, to our community. You made it this far where you're going to be able to spend time with your family, and I wish you the best of luck in your journey with family. And also, congratulations to Ms. Bustos for her promotion. And I'd just like to acknowledge all of you for the work that you do, and farewell.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
you.
Thanks.
Sorry, just had a quick question, just to advance other information. S1, 5. And usually the racial breakdown.
Sure. 26 Hispanic, 2 African American, 1 Polynesian, 2 Asian, and 1 mix.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Through the chair, John Keane has his hand up.
Yes.
I just want to add to the report out a couple of items. One, with the diversion numbers, I've had an opportunity to meet with a couple of local jurisdictions who are providing diversion for youth that actually do not enter the system. As many of you all know, we've been working over the last decade to try to increase local city-led diversion programs. There are a couple of programs that actually are running really well right now, and my hope is that more of the cities will lean into that space. They're actually having really great success in kind of working closely with the schools as well as the local city jurisdictions. And so I wanted this team to be aware that we are still emphasizing greatly the preference to have young people on city, school, police-led diversion programs that do not include the young people are actually becoming a part of our system. Even though diversion on our end is something that we are, very happy to provide, the goal is still always going to be hopefully not to have young people enter into the system, period. And so we're still encouraging and working closely with local cities to try to enhance their programs and add more people to their programs. As you all know, we have a working relationship with San Mateo. We have a probation officer embedded in that city to work closely with their program and to help facilitate, the growth of the program. And so it is always still our hope that long term, that's going to be the model that other cities will adopt. And then secondarily and lastly, I just want to give a quick report out on the request for data template. Ms. Huber-Levy and Ms. Rasmussen gave us a copy of a document that had been used by members of our department at this table several years ago as a kind of template, or I would just say a form that they reported out data on. I wanted to just let you all know that we are internally looking at how, collecting that data in an efficient manner actually will line up with our overall policy of, providing data that not only is appropriate, but also ensuring that our internal processes and with our databases and systems, all the information that we can gather with minimal need to create any new practices to do that. And so a lot of things we found in that document that you guys were given, some of those practices were not, we'll just call them, they weren't officially department approved practices to get that data. And so we're working now to kind of figure out what information falls in line with the way we collect data typically. And then our goal is to have a document that is similar to what you all had in the past that will serve as a just kind of sheet that will give you the information that our team members just reported out on in a concise format. The goal is ultimately, if for some reason none of us can appear for some strange reason, we want to make sure you still have your data for the month. And, as always, you're able to forward questions to us to clarify information at a later point. But I wanted to follow up on that conversation point that we had in our most recent meeting to let you know that that hadn't fallen through the cracks and we're still working on it. So that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To the chair.
Yes.
I have some questions for Chief King.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Chief. I appreciate that. Looking sharp tonight. You mentioned the cities, that there are cities in the county that have city-led diversion programs. Can you share with us, aside from San Mateo, what other cities
Sure.
have this diversion-led program, please? Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate it. It's been a long day, so I feel a little ran down. So sometimes you gotta look the part when you don't feel the part. So thank you for that. We're working closely. Redwood City has a diversion program that they're working, and then currently South City has one as well. And then in the early stages, Atherton, they've met with us and members of our department. Also, they've met with the district attorney's office, and we've kind of had some introductory conversations about how to find ways to reach more youth from a diversion perspective. As you know, from the busing perspective, Atherton is in a really unique space in terms of the kids who come through the city but don't necessarily live in the city. And so that's always kind of created an extra burden, I would say, in terms of identifying who should lead the diversion conversation. So those are the four primary points right now. We've met with all of the departments at some point in the past through the police chiefs to offer our kind of willingness to provide technical support to help people develop programs if they would like, and then potentially evaluate whether there's such a desire for it that we can look at potentially embedding probation officers in other places throughout the county.
Okay, so it sounds like this program's just barely starting, right?
I would just say really quickly, ma'am, I wouldn't say that it's barely starting. We've been at this for over 10 years.
No, I'm sorry. It's, let me rephrase that. Thank you. It's uncorrected. That it has yet to get picked up on by all other cities.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for probation? All right, well, thank you all for being here. I know that you have other things that you need to do, so please feel free to leave whenever you need to go, but we appreciate you being here. And again, we can sit on the back. Okay,
Through the chair,
yes.
can a quick reminder for those of you who have comments, please use the mic. I think that way people on Zoom can hear you.
Okay.
Yes,
sounds
thank
good.
you.
You guys want to move that? You guys- Okay. I have just a very brief youth liaison report. The youth report that there'll be a graduation on May 28th. I don't have the time yet. Maybe Sarah Notch could provide that for us. But it looks like we have at least 4 high school graduates and potentially 3 college graduates. So that's a big deal. So yeah, we're excited about that. And then our next report out would be the County Office of Education. And let me see if Sarah Notch is here. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I couldn't get my headphones to connect.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. It was really wonderful to see some of the commissioners and community partners at Fly's Legacy of Hope Luncheon. It was an incredible event. And my apologies, I was reviewing the notes from the last meeting and it looks like we missed February. And then going back in my emails, it appears as though the SMCOE partners might have been affected by the technical glitches. So we didn't receive the email, so sorry about that. I did receive the one that was sent out on Saturday. So looks like it's all been resolved, but I'll be sure to also reference the public site from now on just to make sure I double check all the meeting details. For update at Hillcrest, we just finished our career technical education masterclass session and have officially entered 4th quarter. And some of our board members were able to come and see our career technical education or CTE program in action. And I was just thrilled by what an impactful experience it was for them. They've been really supportive of our LCAP and strategic plan goals around expanding our CTE work. One of the projects that the students took on was writing a personification children's book. And a youth was showing one of our board members his book and asked if she wanted to read it. And she said she would love to. She's a former English teacher, but she didn't have her glasses with her. So he pulled up a chair and read it to her cover to cover. And she said it was an incredibly memorable experience for her. And she was just so touched by how kind and insightful his book was. So she shared that comment at our last board meeting. And then also the board members were able to see students programming drones, making their own board games, designing houses and landscaping. And thanks to our partnership with probation, running a CTE culinary cafe out of the professional kitchen. So it was a great 3 weeks. We had a 100% pass rate for food handlers certification, which is an industry standard certification that will help with job competitiveness, and a 100% pass rate for the class. So it was a great success. And then the only other thing I wanted to share with you tonight is that we are I would say a little over halfway through our curriculum pilots for science and social studies, and we'll be presenting the recommendations to the board in late spring for adoption. And to the question about graduation time, I believe it's 2 o'clock for May 28th for the Hillcrest and college graduation. But I'll double check and make sure.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. And before I open it up to my fellow commissioners, I know that one of our judges was very interested in coming, but a 2 o'clock time would prohibit that because she has an afternoon calendar. So
Oh,
I wonder if we might look at that and see if there's a way that we could accommodate Judge Adesanya to be able to be present.
let me make a note of that. I will look into that and then.
So even if we, move it up just an hour,
Okay.
it would allow her to attend. And this is a big deal. We've never had this many college graduates and high school
Yeah.
graduates, and it would really be nice if she could join us.
Okay, just made a note. I will look into that, see what I can do.
Thank you. Questions for Sarah?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Does that certification come with maybe like a job referral? Because that would carry some weight out here in like the fast food industry when they're looking at youth, when they want to empower youth. Is that something that's possible that we could draft up for them as well?
Absolutely. So we've written recommendations and referrals for students, as well as help them put together a portfolio of all of the work that they do in the CTE space, because it's all industry relevant work that's happening in high demand, good wage earning fields. And then the other thing that we can do to help with making that transition is we have a transition services coordinator who, in preparation for youth transitioning back into the community, helps with not only linking them up with community partnerships and agencies like Department of Rehabilitation or different opportunities for them to receive supports and services, but can also help with job searches and kind of looking for navigating the work field as well. So yeah, it's a great, I mean, it makes them very competitive. You're absolutely right to come in with that certification and the experience of working in a professional industrial kitchen as well.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one question. Sarah, can you remind us the name of the coordinator, the transition coordinator?
It's Jonas Barber.
Jonas Barber, yes, thank you.
And I must say that I spoke with a couple of the youth who participated in the CTE cooking program, and they absolutely loved it. They said they got to take orders, they got to do prep, they got to cook, all aspects of it. And they looked forward, they even said, Ms. Johanna, could you come next week because I have CTE? So that's, I mean, they really enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Okay, so we'll be moving on then to no other, oh yes, Jennifer, go ahead. Excuse me, Commissioner.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I like that green on you.
Oh, thank you.
So the program that you just mentioned with all the board members that attended, I just wanted to know, I would have been interested to have attended. I'm wondering if the commission was invited or I don't know. And if not, maybe in the future, if we can be invited as well.
Thank you for that idea. Let me make a note of that as well.
Sure. And then you did mention the pilot programs. You did mention science. What was the other subject that you mentioned?
Social studies.
Social studies. Okay. So where are we at with ethnic studies? I do remember.
So thank you.
You did mention that you all were going to look into that. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. I remember that question and I had it in my mind to update that. So I'm glad you brought that up. So we are actually running ethnic studies through CSM, through College of San Mateo. And then all of our adoptions that we're looking at, we have a equity lens consideration as part of our adoption process. So making sure that there's representation, identity, belonging, different cultural and linguistic factors that are considered and reflected in the content. But we, through our partnership with CSM, are able to have a standalone ethnic studies class for our students that are duly enrolled. So it counts for college credit as well.
Thank you. And one last question. I was just wondering, now that Hector Camacho Jr. stepped down from the board for Area 3 and he assumed the position of the executive director of the Equity, Diversity and Inclusion directorship. And I was wondering is he assisting in this process or is he overseeing this process with having that equity lens in the adoption with ethnic studies? Thanks.
Good question. He's not overseeing the process. That work's being led by our Associate Superintendent, Chris Schaus, along with our Curriculum and Instruction Department, that several of the members of the adoption team are on our equity team as well, that is led by Executive Director Camacho. But as far as direct involvement, no, it's run with our educational team.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you always being here and having such a thorough report. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Behavioral Health and Recovery Services. Regina Moreno, welcome. How are you?
Good evening. I only have a brief announcement, and that is that we have a student intern that was with us, Melanie Acosta. She will be concluding her graduate internship program with us on April 7th. She provided wonderful mental health services to the detained youth, the youth in the juvenile hall, and also facilitated an alcohol and other drugs group in the hall. So I just want to acknowledge and recognize her valuable work that she provided while she was with us. And yeah, I think that's the only announcement report out I have for today.
Thank you so much. Will there be another internship coming in the summertime, or how does that work?
It's usually if a student approaches us, you know, they know that behavioral health and recovery services, there's lots of different youth clinics, regional clinics, and that we do have the program within the juvenile hall. So they reach out and then we provide interviews. But no, we have not had any interested students at this time.
Thank you so much for being here and for your report.
To
Appreciate
the
it.
chair, I have a question for,
Yes, go ahead.
hello, is it,
Regina?
Regina.
Okay, so I'm Commissioner Blanco. Nice to meet you via Zoom. Aside from your announcement with the internship, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about if you happen to have the numbers of how many youth have you been able to service? Because I do remember when we were doing the educational inspection report, we did hear some concerns of youth not being provided services during certain times of the day. So I was wondering if you might be able to provide some sort of number on how many youth BHRS
So
is
as
providing services. Thank you.
So as Sanam reported out, within the juvenile hall, I believe there's approximately 35 youth. And from all of those youth, we have had contact with them. And they are also, when they come in for the first time, they are informed that behavioral health and recovery services are available to them. And we also, I don't have the exact numbers right now, but probation officers make referrals for individual and family therapy for those youth in the community. So we also reach out to the youth in the community. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
So we are going to take public comment now on items A through E because we have a presentation from Fresh Lifelines for Youth, and they'll include their update in their presentation. So at this time, if we have any public comment for items A through E, we can take that now.
We have no speaker submitted, but if you're on Zoom and you would like to have a few comment on any of these agenda items, please use the raise hand feature. And you'll be given 2 minutes to speak. We have no public comment online. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I also do not see John Fong here to give an update for item number G. So with that, we'll be moving on to the next part of our agenda, which is a presentation from FLY, Fresh Lifelines for Youth. And they are going to be giving us a presentation on secure track, re-entry, and stay fly. And I have the presentation here, so.
Okay, I'm not used to microphones or sitting down while presenting.
Okay.
But that looks like trip hazard, so this is probably better.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do a quick round.
Welcome. Yes.
Oh, thank you. We'll do a quick round of introductions of the four of us and then talk about FLY as a whole, and then specifically want to speak to the programming that we do. You can't in better, is that better? Okay. Yes, okay. The programming that we do in the facility. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So I'll start. My name is Melissa Poli, and I'm the director for FLY in San Mateo and San Francisco counties. And I've been at FLY for 10 years now. And I'm very excited to be here tonight. So thank you. I'll pass it.
Hey everyone, can you guys hear me? Okay, my name is Bati. I have been with FLY for almost 1 year, and I am the lead case manager for our secure track program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Krista. I'm the lead reentry case manager for Fly, and I have been at Fly for close to 3 years.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us here. My name is Maria Delgado, and I am the Associate Director for San Mateo and San Francisco County. And I've been with Fly for 8 years. We thought it was 7, but Snapchat reminded me that it's 8. So thank you for having us.
Okay, how are the slides coming?
They're
Not coming?
almost there.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. I can start without them. So a lot of familiar faces here, and so hopefully not all of this is new, but we really wanted to take this time to talk about, we have a variety of programs and they are in different parts of the county in different places. And so we wanted to make it really clear what we're doing in the facility so that everybody knows those pieces. So Fresh Lifelines for Youth started in the year 2000, actually in Santa Clara County, where our founder began, and we started in SMC in 2005. So we've actually been in the county for 20 years. And we started with a couple programs that we'll talk about, but law and leadership were the main ones initially, in mentoring. And now Fly is in 5 different counties surrounding the Bay, serving thousands of young people. So we really have evolved over the last 25 years. And thank you for everyone who came to Showcase to celebrate 25 years. It's a big deal. We're officially not even like a transition age youth anymore, right? We've like graduated the whole process. So, no, okay, not happening. Okay, it's okay. I want to just like speak to the mission really quickly, but it's easier if y'all can like read it, so I don't have to. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, perfect. Yes. Okay, great. If you want to go to the next slide already, yeah. Where does it been through? Okay, great. So Fly's mission is to partner with youth to unlock their potential, disrupt the pipeline to prison, and advance justice in California and beyond. So, like I mentioned, okay, loud, sorry. Like I mentioned, oh yeah, I know. The court report does it all the time. Slow down. Like I mentioned, we have 6 different programs actually in San Mateo County. We're only going to speak to 4 of those tonight because they are again offered in different parts of the school to prison pipeline. So we do early intervention work, prevention work, work with in custody young people, and then reentry on the other side of that. We wanted to highlight again the services we specifically offer in the facility today to make that really clear. And we'll get into the outcomes that we hope to see with those and what each intervention and program does. Sorry, we still make issues. Okay, well, that's all I had on Fly in general. And then I'll pass it to Maria to talk about the law program. That's not on the agenda, but we wanted to talk about that because the youth in juvenile hall also received that program.
All right, so we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So as Mel mentioned, the law program is not in the agenda, but I'm going to squeeze in a quick overview of the law program because we also offer that juvenile hall in 2 of the units, I believe 3 now. But the law program is a 12-week curriculum where we offer this at community sites, basically the high schools across San Mateo County, as well as juvenile hall. And through the 12 weeks, we teach our youth about their rights. That could go from property crimes, police encounters, critical thinking. Oh, that's part of the social emotional learning skills, and sex and consent, drugs and alcohol. And just to mention, it's 12 gangs as well. And through the classes, as well as conversations, our youth are also able to work and build social emotional learning skills where they empower to basically identify who they are, create their own stories, as well as advocate for themselves. They also get the tools to basically navigate the system, as well as make healthier choices and basically influence the system's changes. And we can go to the next slide. Oh, and I just forgot. So 75% of our youth that go through the law program basically increase their social emotional learning skills as well as the knowledge in the law program. For this one, our target population, we work with youth who are in high school. So basically anywhere from 13 to 17, 18, the max. And we get our referrals for our community schools through counselors, teachers, as well as principals, or when they get released from juvenile hall, they are sometimes sent to the schools that we're at. We're currently at 7 schools in San Mateo County and the 2 units at juvenile hall. So basically anyone that is at juvenile hall goes through our law classes. We have secure track youth. They had been through our law classes many times. So they are facilitating with us at this point because they know the curriculum very well. And so currently this fiscal year, we have served over 300 youth in community sites and 90 plus youth at juvenile hall. Yeah, and that's all for the law program.
So we thought it'd be easiest to take it questions with program by program because they are different. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a lot to
Questions
hold
for
on
the
to.
law
Yeah.
program.
Do you have a list of the schools that currently have the law program?
Yes. Yeah, so it's 7 schools, if I can remember right, Woodside High School, Redwood High School, and Redwood City. We are at Peninsula High School in Burlingame, Westmore, that's our new school right now, Thornton High School in Daly City, Cappuccino High School in San Bruno, and San Mateo High School. San Mateo High School, is that 7? Yeah, and that is 7, yeah. So those are our schools for San Mateo County.
Those are all of our high-risk areas.
Yes.
Any other questions before I make a comment? Yes.
So I attended the law program training and it was a very interactive delivery system for the material. And is that how the youth in the hall experience it as well? So it's really kind of made to be fun and energetic and role-playing, using language that would be familiar to them, not so much to me.
Yes, definitely. We train our volunteers to basically deliver the material to our youth to be understandable. We break down the material for them to understand a little bit better. And yes, we make it fun. We bring snacks, food, and we use a lot of critical pedagogy, right? This is kind of like the setting that we create for our youth instead of like being like a teacher-student kind of class. It's more about like youth-led. And we also like, if do have a lot of energy, we see leadership in our youth. We have them participate, facilitate the class, lead icebreakers and all of that. So we do try to make it fun for them to join our classes, yeah.
I will say there's some, obviously being a locked facility, there's some restriction on like all the activities we can do depending on the day, right? And how things are going in the institution, but we do try to make it as much as interactive as we possibly can and do all the activities we do in the community.
So I have a question. Is the law program the one that puts on the mock trial?
Yes.
I love that. I participated in San Francisco. It was the funnest thing I think I've ever done. We had such a blast. So excellent.
Yes, they're great lawyers and judges and all the things. So yeah.
They love the mock trial.
Any other questions about law program?
I had a question.
Yes.
So I know you mentioned that you teach your participants to influence change. I just wanted to ask for some more specifics on that. Does that mean through like activism? Does that mean teaching them ways in which they can participate in like justice programs, like reform programs? I just wanted to ask for some specifics on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, we do hope by understanding the systems that young people are then activated to change the system. So systems change is a big part of what FLY is trying to do. So there are ways we promote ways to get involved locally in the community. So we talk about how to advocate for yourself in your school or make a public comment or go to board meetings at the district or things like that, where like youth voice can really be prevalent. And so, you know, each young person takes what they will from that, but we do at every lesson, there's ways of like, if these are the laws, but the laws change and evolve and humans make laws, and how do we change those? We have a whole lesson on voting and civic engagement and right, and why that's important and who does vote, who doesn't vote and why, and things like that. So really unpacking a lot of these larger systems and making very clear the points where like individuals can make change, even at a young age.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I have a couple questions. So I'm learning about your program. I would like to come and check out one of these programs so I can get a better understanding of what the service is FLY offers. So in regards to your programs at the schools, the 7 schools that you are with throughout the county, what are the criteria for the youth to participate in that program? And the second question is, do you plan to expand to the other schools? other high schools?
Yeah, so we definitely, for the first question, our target population is system impacted youth. Youth who had been on probation, who are on the pathway to the system, as well as those who are behind credits, not just youth on probation, but those who are behind credits or struggling with school, or those who had been transferred to, why am I going blank? Alternative schools, yes. I think the same. Expanding, yes. One of our, or a lot of our youth are big advocates of us going to other schools, right? So basically, if they see an issue happening at their schools, they're always telling us like, hey, like, I think we should have Fly, or we do have like principals or just anyone reaching out to us that they need our services. And we basically host like meetings and we see what the needs are for the schools. And that's when we try to expand to other ones. And I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, so we're really trying to be community responsive. So I'll say right now, we're talking to Sequoia for obvious reasons about what's happening, right? And so we are a nonprofit. And so there is a capacity question always, right? And how we would like to be everywhere, but we do need to kind of prioritize and do what makes the most sense in trends that we're seeing. I will also say we rely really heavily on volunteers. And so if people are interested in supporting the program and helping expand our reach, we're more than happy to have people volunteer in the community or unlocked facilities to help us facilitate this.
I think one of our commissioners, Whitney Jennifer,
Yeah, we've had many and they're excellent. So that's just a little pitch right there. If anyone wants to volunteer, we're more than happy to have you.
Reach out. Wonderful. Any other questions before we move on to the next program? Thank you so much, Marie.
Thank you.
Okay, I think next is reps. Yep.
Okay, so this is our REPS program, commonly known, I guess, as our Secure Track program, but this program is unique to San Mateo County in that we are the only Fly county who has this program. And so we actually had our Secure Track youth rename it because we didn't want to keep referring to it as the Secure Track program. So it is REPS, which stands for Rehabilitation, Education, and Planning for Success. So in this program, they get one-on-one case management from myself. We shoot for about 2 hours a week. Sometimes it's a little more if they have like court stuff going on, MDTs and all that stuff. We work on social emotional learning and life skills, as well as their individualized rehabilitation plans. The REPS program manager, which is Harold, he offers weekly career readiness workshops that include a monthly what it's like talk. We have industry professionals come in and they're actually interviewed by the youth. So we have 2 youth who are very interested in physical therapy and physical training. So we actually had a physical trainer and a physical therapist come in, and they got to meet those youth and interview them to see what their day is like, how they got into their career, stuff like that. We serve all Secure Track committed youth, and also we are now expanding to 707B offenses. So we have a total of 7 youth in program as of this week, because we did enroll 2 more. And then we also have a credible messenger mentoring service that we are building out at this time. We don't have too many numbers for our program yet because it did just start in January. So, but yes, that's the gist of our REPS program.
Wonderful. Sorry, my question was just on the credible messenger mentoring services. How does that work?
So yeah, we are hoping to build that out. We know that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's a really effective way for young people to engage, socialize, and be mentored by other people. So Harold is a credible messenger himself, and so he's by nature doing that work. We're hoping to engage community members, Fly alumni in a way that we can offer stipends to them to then be in the facility to provide mentoring with us. So we are building out what the training looks like and what all of that will be. And we have a few identified and are starting to work with them to kind of coach them into that. So this is, again, starting from ground up in the last couple of months. And so, yeah, so it's not fully built out yet, but we know there's a lot of great evidence to suggest that this is effective for young people. And so we want to be the ones to do it.
I just wanted to clarify that
Nobody can hear you, Melissa. You need the microphone.
I wanted to clarify that kids who are pre-adjudicated 707Bs are able to participate.
Basically, yeah, so it's really looking at young people that are going to be there for a long time. Like that is the idea. This is Fly's first venture into in-custody case management. Most of our services were meant to be doing community case management. So I will say we in San Mateo County specifically are like pioneering that for Fly. Because of the shift, realignment, all of that, right? So we're seeing a need for it. We think it could be really valuable time and Fly should be a part of the process and want to do this work. So again, bear with us. We are all building that plane as we fly it, I think in that, right, in that sense, but we're using the young people to help us do it, which I think is really cool. And yeah, so we'll say the contract does cover 707 fees. We are prioritizing, I think, like the young people that we know are going to be there for a very long time and the highest need. And right now with one case manager, we have the capacity for about 10 youth is what we're seeing. So we have 7, we're gonna up it to 10. And then we'll see, and we'll work with probation to see if there is a higher need to increase. Like that's where this came from, is we increased our contract essentially with them to provide this. So if we're seeing an increase in need, I have no problem saying that if there are more young people than that. But for right now, I think 10 is a good number to set.
Anybody else have a comment before I comment?
Oh, no, I just had a question. That's a great program. And I really like the rehabilitation, education, and planning for success. That's awesome. No, it is. And it doesn't surprise me that they're so creative. So in this planning, of course, we know that it's evidence-based, that a transitioning program exists for reentry, step down. Is there anything in being discussed how you can collaborate with the youth to maybe advocate for that? Because this commission has been pleading with the county as well as probation for that extremely important component in reentry. And I think that that would be like an awesome place to start so that we can get some collaboration, because we carry the burden of constantly advocating for the things that we get pushed back on. And it would be awesome if we can empower these youth to assist this commission as well as themselves in advocating for a transition so that we could really plan for success and join many of our regional neighbors in providing some sort of transitional assistance or step down here in the county. Thank you.
Yes.
So I know the program is very new, so the question might not apply, but are the case managers able to provide court reports for the youth?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
That's a big kind of goal, is because they have these regular reviews that we know about every 6 months, is preparing the young people themselves to advocate for themselves in court, and really highlighting all the great work that they are doing. And then we also have Harold and Tati both attend court with them. We submit reports, and we want to, again, build their own advocacy skills and showcase their work on their IRPs, their individual rehabilitation plans.
And then quick follow-up on that. Like I know reentry is a separate program in and of itself, but I guess would you also work with the youth on like their reentry team? I guess if that's the case.
So that is the hope. We obviously have not reached that place in this county yet, but that is the hope, is that because Fly does that as well, there would be a very seamless transition to the inside-outside portion of things. And to comment on step downs, I think we obviously want young people to be successful upon release. And so we hope to work with probation and advocate in the ways that we can to be able to support that process. So that is the end goal is all the same. And we'd really like to help have our young people feel equipped when they leave the facility after that many years.
I love the program. That's phenomenal. Yeah.
Great.
Commissioner Blanco.
Yes, I just wanted to make a suggestion. In regards to your mentoring program, to build it out, I would like to suggest reach out to the San Mateo County Construction Building and Trades Council and the San Mateo County Central Living Council. But I think you might find some mentors there.
What was the second one? Sorry.
I would love to introduce you to
Okay, perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
And I just wanted to, any other comments before I make my comment? I just wanted to note that in San Francisco, they have credible messengers that sit, 2 of them, that sit in the secure track unit, like an 8-hour shift. You guys know, you're in San Francisco, and that works beautifully. I mean, I think it works beautifully. So is that something that are you looking at how other counties are doing their credible messenger and And hopefully it would be okay.
Yeah, so we're connected to San Francisco as well, and that's
Yes.
kind of where the inspiration, I mean, it's a well-known thing, but the inspiration kind of, we talk to them about what their programming looks like up there, and we're hoping to see what's successful. Again, everybody's doing it differently, so we're trying to see what's the most successful. But yes, I don't know that we have the capacity to have people there full time and, that many hours a day. But
Well, that's what works though.
yes, I
right?
know, I
That's
know.
what works.
Yeah, so I think it's something I think we need to scale towards. I think that's where I think we're at. We're in kind of a initial phase and maybe scaling towards more time, because I know that is obviously having other people as support there is more helpful.
And I know Patrick Carr from San Francisco is very interested in coming down here and doing Credible Messenger. So when you're in San Francisco, talk to him and see if he might want to come down and join us. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's been some phenomenal transformations happening since Harold and Tati took over this program. The work that they are doing in Secure Track is amazing, and it has been needed for quite a while. And I just cannot thank you enough for everything that you are doing for our kids. Thank you. Okay, on to the next. Okay.
All right, so for reentry, reentry program is for youth that have spent time in the juvenile hall and are on probation. So anyone that's been incarcerated at San Mateo County Juvenile Hall is eligible for our program. As y'all know, that can be as young as 12 years old, all the way to, 17. We transition them to the 18, to another program when they're 18. But the program is 9 to 12 months long. Case managers have discretion of extending services past the 9 months, depending. It depends on the situation. But basically, they get assigned a case manager that provides one-on-one support to them to transition back into the community. They also attend quarterly pro-social events. So we've done bowling, we've done laser tag, we've done hikes. We did a Dia de los Muertos event this past November. So we try to design them around the interests that the youth have. This trip was to Angel Island. So yeah, we took them on that one was fun because there literally was nowhere for them to go. They were in an island. So they're like, what is this? But I mean, usually our events tend to be only for youth, just given, the safety concerns and, issues that they might have with each other. So for youth is usually the most, but we always want to encourage more youth to attend our events, and then also workshops with our career pathways navigator, who was Harold, but we're transitioning to a new person as well. And then if you go to the next slide, it goes over, so when a youth first gets into the program, they create a development plan goal. And this includes 4 goals. The first one is an educational goal. So we really like to promote, enrollment back into school, or also like making sure that the youth get the support that they need when they're at school. So attending IEP meetings or attending a suspension meeting, expulsion meeting, we're kind of really wanting to make sure that they get the support they need, because oftentimes, I mean, as y'all might know, schools aren't as welcoming to our population. And, also incarceration disrupts some of that education as well. So, and then we also have a legal goal, which usually the youth say getting off probation. Unfortunately, in the 9 months, that's usually not possible, just because, it tends to get extended, 1 to 2 years. But we do try our best to decrease system involvement, decrease recidivism. And then we also advocate to probation officers about the work that they're doing with us, as well as advocate for them in court. And then SEL is a big goal that we like. Social emotional learning in general is something that we try to work on with them. This year, we're trying to focus on self-advocacy, and then personal youth-led goals. So this can look like getting their driver's license, their ID. It can also look like applying to jobs, preparing their resume, any kind of, they can kind of decide that. Some people have been like, I want to be more active. So they can decide what they want to do, or like explore a hobby or something like that. So we kind of give them the agency to choose their 4 goals right at the beginning, and it develops and evolves as they go through the program. So yeah. And then the next slide, this just kind of talks about our program process. So usually what happens is case managers are in the juvenile hall. We try to be there like every other week or weekly, and we check in with them. We pitch the program to them, and usually youth opt into the program. That's the majority of the population that we get. is youth opting into the program, but we also have referrals from probation officers, or we've also had referrals from therapists, like we have like an interest form that they can fill out, and also an email. And then once they're released, we have a meeting with their family and just do an enrollment paperwork with them. Then they're officially part of the program. And then this kind of just goes over some of our phases, how much time we spent with them. So we follow something called critical time intervention. So they spent, the first phase is for 3 months and it's 4 hours a month minimum. Second phase is 3 hours, and then third phase is 2 hours. So we hope that as they go through our program, they're more independent and are able to transition out of our services. And these are flexible to their needs as well. Sometimes I spend more time with them than these minimum hours. And then the reasons that you guys might see us still case managing in the juvenile hall is if there's recidivism. So we will follow youth for an additional maybe like 3 months. 3 months is the cap, right? If I'm correct, yeah. So if it's going to be less than 3 months, we can support them and kind of reintegrate them. But if not, we close them out so that we can enroll them again for an additional 9 months, if that makes sense. So that's a reason why sometimes I'm at the juvenile hall is because of recidivism and in custody case management with youth that have already enrolled in the program prior. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about our process, but open to any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Noy.
Oh, the numbers for.
I'm going to talk about the numbers really fast.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, right now we're serving 22 youth. And we're hiring an additional case manager, which will allow us to serve maybe around 14 more youth. So we've been able to expand our.
And so a year, the goal will be with 3 case managers to serve 45 youth.
That's wonderful. How many youth are on the waiting list right now?
Right now, we have a good amount. It's kind of increased a lot. I would say we have like 5 referrals and then like 7 youth that have expressed interest right now in the juvenile hall, but we're just waiting to see when they're going to get released. We don't have the dates yet.
So I know probation has their own like reentry plan that they work on with the youth while they're still in the hall. Is it possible that probation refers a youth to you guys through that plan, or like how involved are you guys with that? Like, I guess the probation reentry plan.
I've not heard of it.
Yeah, so we're not super involved in that process. Usually the young people opt in themselves. Like we don't really necessarily want our program mandated. I think it works better when young people like see the value in it and want to join. And honestly, most of them do, which is why we have like a wait list. So we don't collaborate closely with probation at this time to like make that plan. I will say when there are prep meetings, we do attend those for the young people. So we are looped in when those things do happen. And again, we work with their probation officer when they're out to kind of help advocate in that way.
And then like, what's the average, I guess, stay in the hall? Like, obviously if it's like 3 or like, if it's like an overnight stay there, I doubt they're going to be participating in your program, but like, I guess months or.
It can be as little as like a week.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as they've had some contact, yeah.
Yeah, and that's for eligibility. We do prioritize, especially with the wait list, like young people that have spent more time there, right? Because those need stronger supports when they're reentering if they've been there longer.
2 years or something.
So yeah, that's how we do try to prioritize those young people.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Great. Yes.
So I'm interested in the reentry program, or the plan, more specifically, with the partnering with the school. So I was not aware of one thing that there's also going on, as fast as possible. So, so it sounds like there's 2 reentry programs going on, probation and the organization. So that was a good question regarding.
I'm not so sure.
I'm not sure about the.
I don't know that that's, is the chief still on? Maybe the chief could answer that for us.
Well, my question was more relationship with the parents. How does it work? What's the process that, is there a universal way of doing it with all these school districts?
No, but as we get a young person, we find out what school they're at enrolled. So it's really just we have established connections. For example, through the law program, we have established connections at the high schools that we mentioned. So they already know what FLY is. But me as a case manager, I would either go in person to introduce myself or send an email to try to get in contact with the person. So I try to get like a full 360 picture of the youth and the young person. So that does include their school and wherever they're at. So yeah, I guess it's like personal connection with the staff members and reaching out to them directly or showing up at the school just to name that I am a case manager for the young person.
And you're here to follow them.
Yes.
Fly side, but what's your take on the school district side, as far as the schools level of support? How have you found that experience? Do you feel that they're really supporting?
They're receptive, but I mean, like, there is like, you know, also, yeah, like they were pretty receptive to us and us following their educational journey. So they'll like include me in meetings and anything like that. But, you know, sometimes I guess it's the extra effort of like finding out if I don't find out about a suspension or expulsion, I, you know, go out of my way to find out, if that makes sense, or kind of put myself in those rooms, in those spaces.
Can I answer? I think what you're getting at, it's a varied and tough process with young people coming out of the institution and getting re-enrolled in school. And so there is someone in the probation department who's like responsible for this. I'm sure you know that, you all know that, but yeah, because it is tricky. And I think different districts, different school sites, there's different philosophies on how that works. And so I will say there are some sites it's very smooth and some sites there are like, it's more challenging depending on the young people and their circumstances. And yeah.
So I think because I have 17 years of being a school board member, so I have that level as a school board member and ensuring that we're holding our staff accountable to serving our youth and knowing what their needs are, being empathetic, serving out the youth, but the parents' needs as well, because we need to see the whole family unit and what the needs are. And so I'm just curious to hear if you feel that we have people in these places, these spaces that are understanding this demographic of youth in their school community. So that's why I'm really interested in hearing, but you can answer that song.
It's hard because the county it's large, right? Yeah. So I think I've had different experiences at different schools, and I've been here 10 years now. So I have like, you know, Daly City to EPA to Coastside, it's all very different, right? So I definitely think there are some folks in schools like really get it and really get our population and like support their success. And I'll say that there are other places where that is much more of a struggle, and the support and the belonging on campus is not there.
Yeah. So, and I think that's something that we as a commission can really intervene to some degree and finally understand it. I think that should streamline what the process should look like and help our youth. So no matter if they come from North or South.
Thank you.
I had a question based on what Ms. Blanco was talking about. So we were speaking earlier because I'm a school board member in one district and a teacher in another district, and I was telling Ms. Blanco that I went in the beginning of the school year and told the assistant principal that I'm a commissioner now, and you know, to let me know what was going on with any of the youth that were involved with the system, and they never tell me. And I just have to find out by seeing the ankle bracelet on a youth or whatever. And recently, the youth that are on probation or coming out have made their way to my classroom when they're not supposed to be there, because somebody told them, you need to go talk to Mr. Ali. And I was actually getting evaluated by the principal the other day, and I had 2 students in my class, and he kicked them out because they weren't my students. One of those students just got suspended today for having a fight. And I was angry because I was like, I told them in the beginning of the year, I'm a commissioner. So part of why you're asking, I think, is because I was wondering what responsibilities and what rights do we have as commissioners? You know, if I'm on campus, can't the school let me know what's happening with all the youth that you know, I know there's confidentiality, but, so I think that's what you're asking is, what can we do and what can we advocate for? If there's nothing in place right now, can we put something in place?
I think that the question is really for Judith Holliver, who's our attorney, on just what we are entitled to and what we're not entitled to. But we can certainly always be advocates, right? We're always advocates. So that's something that we should work on. Maybe we can focus at, have a conversation and meeting with Judith and say, hey, we realize this is a real problem and how can we address it as commissioners? Thank you, appreciate it.
I think one of the issues is access to educational files. I think there is law covering that for commissioners. And I have found that just by being not blustery, but saying, look, this is the parameter of this job. Through my own education, I've been able to get things that one would think you would not be able to get.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for the work that you do.
Sorry, we have one more, just stay fly really fast, because I was on there too.
Yes,
you're
gonna do state fly too?
Oh, I can, or do you want to?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Stay Fly essentially is our reentry program just for ages 18 to 25. So I also case manage that group. We currently have about 4 youth in that program with a wait list. We did pause on enrollments because we were waiting to hire a case manager, since I will be full-time reps program. So he starts next week, we'll start enrolling people. But the Stay Fly program is for transitional aged young adults who are system impacted, again, ages 18 to 25. It is a 9-month program. They are assigned a case manager and they get one-on-one support with their transition back into the community. We do focus a lot on social emotional learning because they are adults. Most of the time their goals are more serious to them because they need to maintain their own households. They need to buy a car, they need to get their license, they need to be able to get themselves to and from work. We also do court/probation advocacy. So I'm with them at their court dates, meeting with their POs, stuff like that. And then they do also attend quarterly pro-social events with other stay youth. Sometimes we do cross-county events between our other Fly counties. Some examples of those events are bowling, Topgolf, and then 100% of those youth said they were given tools to make healthier choices. That's from our numbers from last year or last fiscal year.
Super clear so that there's clarity around the programming. Young people that are under 18 years old coming out of juvenile hall do the reentry program. And if they're 18 and over, because that happens, they would do Stay Fly. And that is because it was a whole different kind of skill set and resources needed for that population as adults, right, versus kids. And so we really wanted to separate that out. So there's the difference there, but it's the same idea, just for different population.
Thank you. Questions about Stay Fly? Commissioner Blanco.
I have a question with the demographics of the 18 and 25-year-old. I'm just curious about, do they speak or do you all share information about school, college, trade, and what the options are?
Yeah, so we can, really, so all of our case management programs have access to our career pathways navigator, and their role explicitly is education and career navigation support. And so they do, and again, all the youth have access to that. So that can be exploring whatever it is they might want to do. So post-secondary, like trade schools, making those types of referrals and getting them job ready. So they have a whole position dedicated to that for young people.
So does that person who holds that position, are they well connected with the trades?
Yes, so say Harold had that in transition. So Harold, yes, and so Harold's still on the team, but we have a new person that started last week, and she will be, I'll put it that way. Which she's not yet. We will get her there, but yeah. So job training in places that So yes.
And go ahead. And so the other thing I wanted to mention was that I know we do have someone, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Aaron, here with us today, Vice Chancellor of Education Services and Planning. I got that right? And so they're a great partner with our youth, with that age group specifically. And I don't know if many people know, but for youth that may not feel that going back home or staying in the community where they keep finding themselves in a situation where things just happen to them. I know sometimes it just is overlooking, right? So if they want to get away, we have 14 community colleges in the state that provide student housing. And so that's something that you guys can start looking into and offering and just have that option, say, hey, you know what? If you can go to college and there's student housing. So and for one with the community colleges.
Yeah, that's really helpful to know.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Have a good night, Ron. Yes, because housing, I think for all of us, is a struggle, right? It's very difficult to live here. It's difficult for our adult kids. So thinking about running a reentry program that offers housing is costly. So we should be taking advantage of every opportunity that exists. And we have a group of kids who are really doing well in college. They want to get their degrees. And then for the kids who don't, they want to be in the trades. I hear, I want to be an electrician. I want to be a plumber. And so I think setting them up, those are what they're going to need to be successful, right? Because you can case manage, you can be there, you can mentor, all that's beautiful. But if they don't have a place to live and they can't work and they're hungry, they need clothes, chances are they may have to go out and get those items a way that we would wish that they didn't, you know? Absolutely. So, so my question would be, what do you see the biggest need is for the population that you serve in all of your programs? What is the biggest need that you keep coming up against and saying, gosh, I wish we had this. That would make things so much better.
Just from what I've seen case managing in the community and the Secure Track youth, the biggest need is housing. For example, a lot of our youth in the hall say that they don't know where they're going once they go home. A lot of my youth in the community, you know, recently got out and were not welcomed back home, or, you know, their family moved while they were incarcerated, or they're in shelters. So I would say that housing is the greatest need that our young people are facing right now.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add?
I mean, I would say for the young kids, that's also sometimes not the most stable households and stuff like that. So stability of the households and then also safety of the neighborhoods would be like.
Exactly, exactly. And with our older population, they're going to be coming home at 18, 19, 22, 23, 24. Not everybody's welcome to come back home at that age, right? They're on their own. These families struggle financially. There may not be room. Maybe the family's downsized while you're incarcerated. So these are things we have to be mindful of. Thank you.
I'll just add, just because I'm gonna do my pie in the sky thing here for just needs. I think that young people really need opportunities early on in their educational journeys to succeed and to be seen and valued and appreciated where they're at and built up instead of like disregarded. I think I've seen that a lot of educational trauma, by the time we meet young people, a series of things have happened and lack of resources and support. So that is what I think, a lot of strength-based, not deficit-minded folks in young people's lives to connect resources much earlier, diversion programming, like the chief mentioned earlier, just more opportunities for success and for them to see different pathways than maybe they've been exposed to in their communities. So
we're talking probably elementary school, not even middle school, elementary
school to prison pipeline, right? So school starts at 5. So that's kind of where again, that's just my big worldview of that. So yeah,
it's very important. Any other final questions? Yes.
I was so excited to hear the chief talk about diversion, and I wanted to ask you to briefly cover Pierpoint and also address.
That's next month.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry.
Well, address whether there's been opportunity to bring that into conversations with the chief.
Yeah, so we have other programming, like I mentioned, Pierpoint being one of them, the diversion programming that we have. There's starts to conversations, I'll put it that way. So yeah, so Pierpoint is at a point, it's been around almost 3 years now. We're hoping to expand and increase its reach. And we're doing a lot of work with Sequoia, the district, around restorative justice practices. So that's been gaining a lot of traction. And I am hoping to extend it to probation as well. I do agree with the chief in that I'd like to have no system involvement whatsoever and not be kind of part of probation's diversion offerings. But with 163 youth, I think that there's opportunity there as well. So, so yeah, and we're partnering with San Bruno Police Department as well.
Oh, that's good.
That peer point exists? Yes, yes, yes. I would love to say we could solve, I mean, I hope that's beautiful. Yeah, love that.
Quick follow-up on the legal program. Sorry, going back to that. I attended I think class at MA once. I was just curious, is like, I know MA wasn't on the list. Is it no longer offered, the legal program? at MA?
So MA has peer point and we did both at once, and I will say it confused everybody.
Okay.
So we pulled back the law program from there and kept peer point there. And now we're talking about bringing the law program back. And now we have a different kind of version of how we do the combo, because the kids got real lost in the sauce of what peer point versus law. So yeah. Good question.
What is peer point? Is that a prevention program?
That's okay. Yes, we will come back.
Next month, we're gonna have a full presentation.
It's really great diversion.
Yeah, it's gonna be, but it is a restorative justice diversion program that's running out of our schools. And Melissa and the Vice Chair Huber Levy and Commissioner Maya Nori, they were all part of, developing that, and then they passed it over to Fly. So we'll get all the details on that next month. Thank you so
Excited
much.
about it.
Okay, so now we'll call for one more question.
I heard San Bruno. I missed that whole dialogue. Can you
So
just go
we
back?
are partnering with San Bruno Police Department to do peer point. So we'll talk more about that.
Oh, okay. All right, yes, we have because San Bruno, we have an interim chief, Susan Manheimer.
Yes, I am aware.
Who sits on our JJCC? Okay, all right, we'll call for public comment. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Members of the public, if you would like to comment on this agenda item, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip up to the clerk during this time for public comment. Tonight, there's no speaker slip submitted. And
All right, well, we look forward to you being here with us next month, and thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Is it?
I think May, is it okay?
Oh.
Because we wanted more time to get some more numbers.
Okay. So we will see you in May. Thank you so much for being here. Next item up on the agenda is our liaison updates. We have one liaison update, and that's from Commissioner Blanco, who's going to give us an update that has to do with education.
So I just like to start with showing the video and then I can go from there. And thank you, Fly, for still being here, because I want you guys to be part of this. Yeah. Someone's telling us that they can't hear. There's no audio.
Wonderful. I apologize to the folks who are online who are unable to hear that. This is a new room, so we're still learning the technology, so we apologize that you weren't able to hear the audio on that.
If they'd like to watch it, if they can email you or a clerk, they can send the link. She'd be able to see. They,
So there'll be a link in the
Clerk
chat.
has
So
the link.
for those who are online who did not hear the audio, you can click on and watch the video at your convenience.
So my first Oye was when my 17-year-old daughter was in 4th grade, and I was hooked ever since. 4 or 5 years ago, I decided to take a more proactive approach. So therefore I invited myself to their table to be part of the planning committee. And I got to tell you what an amazing experience it is to be a parent participant, have my own children be part of it, learn, hear various topics, attend workshops. And also just the community that comes together with this. I know when our flyers, it says for 12-year-old and up, but this year I'm going to try to move forward with inviting our 5th graders in our elementary schools, because we mentioned here, we need to get our kids, the younger, the better, right? The sooner, the better, and also our parents. And so every year, Oye does grow, and Oye is an acronym for Orgullo y Educación, pride and education. And so I am a proud planning committee member. And so when you're a planning committee member and you're part of an organization, we have logos that we show as far as being planning committee. And this year, for the first time, they put up in that one slide, the juvenile justice delinquency prevention. So we were represented
Thank you.
And so what I love about the best part for me, aside from the free food, the resource fairs is, and the keynote speakers are the workshops. And I just want to just list some of the workshops that we had this year. For example, Montero Credit Union put one on about youth financial empowerment and scholarships. Our San Mateo County Library partners, Express Yourself with San Mateo County Library's Makerspace tools, and they always have free books there, so it's a hook. They have another one with the Kenyatta College Sparkford program, Making Money Moves. They had one with Innovate Public Schools, two of them, Activating Your Power, Building Parent Power. They also had the San Mateo County Commission, the Status of Women. Their workshop this year was Your Voice for Civic Engagement. We had our own Raimundo Armanderis, part of National Center for Youth Law, have provided a workshop this year. The title of that workshop was Youth Justice Advocacy, Empowering Youth Through Alternatives to Incarceration. I love that one. I was in the back room. I kind of engaged a little bit too much with him. It was hard for me to stay quiet. His topics were on point. The other one was with the Youth Leadership Institute, Social Media and Mental Health. Then they had Jobs for Youth was there. And then also we had our very own Tiffany there, provide from Anamatangi was there. And her title was Together We Rise, Cultivating Culture and Leadership for a Stronger Future. And I got to tell you, these messages that our youth hear early on, it's all about people seeing them, hearing them. It's the engaging, and also having the parents on board with their own workshops that are also provided. And there's also interpreters as well. So I'd love to support Oye, and maybe if we're always looking for new partners to be part of the planning committee. I welcome Fly more and some of my colleagues here. So it's a win-win for the community. And you all were talking about programming for our youth. This is one way. And the best part about it is that it's free. And we also provide for school districts. What I bring to the table is I invite all 23 school districts to try to get them engaged. And it's a slow process, but I don't give up so easy. So this year, for example, I'm going to use two school districts. South San Francisco Unified last year sent about 5 parents and their youth. This year they bused about 50. So it's increasing. San Mateo Foster City, that happens to be the largest school district in our county. They brought in 3 buses full, about 170, which last year they had about 25. So it's taking, right? And so it's just about sharing and just having these leaders in our school districts to understand the impact that a program like this has on our community. And you don't have to be Latino to attend. It's open to all students. And so just want to share that we were well represented. And so hopefully next year, if we can have a table, part of the resource fairs, and we can share this information about what the juvenile justice and delinquency prevention is all about. Let them know we're here. So
yes, we would love that. So is it always in March?
Yes, and it has been in Kenyatta College for the past several years. It was born out of North Fair Oaks Community Center, but they grew out of that space because of the popularity of it, and Kenyatta College has become home. And as you see there, President Lopez always welcomes the community. This year, you saw Elmer Ceballos Martinez speak there, as he's the mayor now here of Redwood City. So it was good to have him welcome all the youth because he has that lived experience growing up in Oye.
It's hard to believe he's the mayor. I remember when he was in first grade. Yeah, he's very young. Okay, well, thank you so much. And we look forward to having a table next year. This is in March. Commission, let's look at January for who's gonna work that table, who's gonna be there, what we're gonna do. Because it's really important. And there's enough of us who live in South County who could make it work. So thank you so much.
Oh, and I have one more.
Yes.
So I know I have brought to the table here regarding breaking up our commission into 3 parts. North, Central, and South County as far as having liaisons. So I did mention I was a board member for 17 years, but I did not know that this commission existed. And I was very surprised about that. So I think that with the delinquency prevention part, we really need to be more involved in our schools. And so the idea was to have the commission be broken up into 3 parts so that we have liaisons and start introducing ourselves to the school districts and let them know that we are here as partners and then develop a relationship with them. So I did have a brief conversation with Nicholas, but he's not here. He was going to share a little bit about it. He sounded as he was very positive about this idea or plan. And so I'd like to see if we might have the opportunity to build it out a little bit more. So.
I
and
know
that's it for
that
my education.
yourself and Commissioner Clemmer and Vice Chair Huber-Levy, you are all have some role in being an educational liaison. And so it would be nice, and whoever else is interested, if you're wanting to participate in being a liaison for education in the county, please reach out to Commissioner Blanco and let her know that. It's really important when someone signs up for a liaison. I just want to be mindful that if you sign up for that role, the community is counting on you. Our kids are counting on you. So if you sign up, I need a commitment that you're going to give it your all. And I know many of us are stretched thin. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, all right. Moving on to the 2025 inspection cycle. So we ran late last year, so it probably seems like, wow, we didn't even have a chance to breathe. We're going right back into inspections, but that's what we're doing. And we've moved them up, so we will, our inspections will be in line with the fiscal year, so it'll be easier to obtain data and to track things that way. And so there's inspection sign-up forms in the Google Drive in the inspection folder. And we have this year, we will be doing Juvenile Hall, Secure Youth Treatment Facility, Canyon Oaks, Elysian, the San Mateo County Receiving Home. We'll be doing the educational inspection, which will include Gateway. And we will be doing the police and sheriff holding facilities. As of right now, I only know of the sheriff's department that we need to investigate as a holding facility because we've had several youths transported down to court who've been charged with either new offenses or have their cases are being heard in Redwood City. So that's one that I am aware of. Darius is here from OICR, and this is the first year that OICR is developing the list. Usually BSCC would send us a list of the law enforcement holding facilities that we would need to go inspect. So they're just getting up to speed on that and developing that. So hopefully we'll have a date for when that will be. So that may fall outside of our June period, but I will let you know about that. So for experienced commissioners, I would ask that you sign up to lead. For our commissioners who are going to be going away to college, please sign up because you can help the team. While you may not be here in June, you can still help your team get ready, offer your guidance, your experience, and help your team get up to speed before you head out. Okay, so that's again in the Google Drive. The signups are live. And if you're interested in signing up for more than one inspection, just let me know and we'll go ahead and see if we can accommodate that. It would be nice if everybody was signed up within the next, let's say 10 days. Put that on there. Next 10 days, if everyone could go in and sign up for where they want to inspect. Yeah.
Clarify about the calendar shift.
So, okay, so, and I should probably clarify too, because Yvonne Bustos, who is now going to be our superintendent, was our point of contact for the last 3 years anyway. So our inspection cycle used to run from August 1 to July 31st. And now we're moving it up to go with the fiscal year. So it will be July 1 through June 30. So we're just moving it up a month. So our inspections will probably, they used to take place, you know, in August and September. And so now we'll be looking to do them probably in July and August. Now, where that holds for education, I'm not sure. We may want to move that up to sooner, or pushing it out to September doesn't seem to work very well.
Yeah, the issue with their school year
Yeah.
being. Cause do you remember when they go on summer break, or, cause I know they
Is
have,
Sarah still here?
they have a few weeks off in summer, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it has worked
Yeah,
to do it in September.
Has it?
Yeah, it has, but I mean,
Okay.
earlier the better. We can
Yeah.
make it happen. I just have a graduation in May. But, I think they wrap up early June.
Yeah.
You know, let me follow up with Sam.
Okay.
I actually got the calendar.
Oh, you got it?
And maybe for the educational team, maybe not all of the inspections have to take place, but it would just be maybe juvenile hall that would take place in September, and SYTF that would take place in September, but Canyon Oaks could take place at any time, right? You're not in the same, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That's true. That is.
So it's not as though, and then Gateway, that'll be a new experience for us. So, and I know that the board is looking forward to us adding that, because it's Corton Community Schools. Our kids go out there, they come from there, they go right back to there, they need to be included, so they'll be included this year. Any questions about signups, inspections? If you have any questions about like what the time commitment is, just reach out and let me know. Okay, and then we have announcements, so I just wanted to let everybody know that BSCC was here, came out and was here for the week of March 3rd. Craig S. Thompson was here. I've already submitted our inspection reports to him. He got back to me within the same day. Thank you so much. This is so helpful. I was just there. I'm writing my report now. So this is nice because they'll be in tandem. Usually one comes in and another one comes in 6 months and they differ. So hopefully there'll be more consistency. For those of you who don't already know, I wanted to point out that we will be having our second statewide commission meeting. So back in January, we started a collaborative with all 58 counties of juvenile justice commissioners across the state of California. And I facilitate that meeting on the second Monday of the month during the lunch hour. We've had excellent attendance, people from all over the state. We're still gathering folks from the smaller counties, but there's been a lot of enthusiasm. We're working on, you know, we had updates last month from Nickel, and we did some legislative updates. Our next meeting, we will be talking about inspections and structure of commissions. So that's very exciting. I'll also be going up to Sacramento next week to give testimony to the Public Safety Committee on the legislation about the surveys related to the food. So that was exciting. That I've never been to the Capitol, so it's nice to be invited and to come and speak. So that's exciting news. Yeah. So anyway, that's exciting. And then I wanted to let everybody know that I will be meeting with President of the Board of Supervisors, David Canepa, on April 10th to go over all of our inspection reports in detail, and to sort of brainstorm on areas that we could work together to solve some problems. So any other updates? Anybody have any updates? Anyone have any announcements they would like to make?
I'd like to just state that we recently experienced another death in our county jail. And the young man was 25 years old, and he had been incarcerated for, I believe, a little over 2 years. So that would have made him a youth offender in custody. And I just want to recognize that's why we're here today, to disrupt the school to prison pipeline, because that's exactly what happens to youth in the school to prison pipeline. Death, insanity, and torture. So I just wanted to recognize that and just send our prayers to the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bocanegra. I know that all of our hearts just dropped when we got that news. And Commissioner Bocanegra and I spoke with Sheriff Christina Corpus when the news hit that this had happened. And I know that I speak for all the commission when we say that it's a tragedy whenever we lose, someone loses their life. We certainly don't know all the circumstances, but our prayers are with the family. And that was very, very tragic. Any other comments or announcements? Okay, I realize now that we don't have a chat feature, so we're going to put the OEA video on our website. So that will be available on our website. So the time is 7:13. That's fantastic. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for being present. Yeah.